Well, it's been done. The Hoka Clifton 1, the original, has been brought back. So today's video is going to be a little different. The first part of the video is going to be my review of the re-released Clifton 1. And then the second part of the video, I thought it'd be cool to kind of show the evolution from the Clifton 1 to today's Clifton 5. So let's start with the Clifton 1. So many people missed the insanely light and super soft original Clifton 1 that Hoka came out with 4 years ago. So Hoka remade a limited batch of them, and I got my hands or my feet on a pair, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought. So the upper is reminiscent of a racing flat. It's very thin and light and just has some heat applied overlays on it. So this makes it extremely breathable and also a bit more flexible. Like the original, it does have some durability concerns though. Since it is so thin, it is pretty easy to rip through, and some of these overlays don't stay attached as well as they should. Another pet peeve that I personally had was the tongue. I thought it was a bit too thin and could use at least a strip of foam on it, similar to like they did with the Tracer, because I have to crank the laces down pretty tight on this guy to get a good lockdown. I could feel the pressure from those laces on the top of my foot. So before we get to my favorite part of this shoe, the midsole, we gotta talk about something in between that is my least favorite part of the shoe, and that is the insole. So most of the original Cliftons came with two insoles, a thin molded foam insert and a flat, softer insert. This allowed you to use one or both of them. The re-released Clifton 1 only comes with one, and that is the thin molded insert. It has a tiny bit of glue towards the middle of the insert to keep it from sliding around, which was an issue with the original Cliftons. While that definitely is a plus and a slight change from the original, the insole's my least favorite part about this shoe. Foot was swimming, there's way too much volume around the arch in my midfoot. I went down half a size, that helped a little, but then my toe was way too close to the front. So what I ended up doing was switching the thin insole for one of my older Clifton models, and it fixed all of my problems. This midsole is what everybody loves. While it may look the same as like the Clifton 2 or the Clifton 3, the original midsole was just so soft. It has that kind of almost melted marshmallow feel where it's just pure cushion, lightweight. They've never been able to replicate the cushion of the original. Though, to create this amount of cushion and lightweight, they inject a ton of air into the foam, and that just kills the durability. You'll be lucky to be getting 300 miles out of these shoes, which is a shame since they are $130. So the outsole on these guys is pretty familiar. It remained pretty much unchanged from Clifton 1 through 3. The 3 added a little extra rubber, but again, just some patches in the high wear areas. It's gonna grip on the road without compromising the weight, and unfortunately it does shed down quicker than I'd prefer. So the original Clifton is extremely lightweight from top to bottom and is extremely soft. While many people loved the Clifton 1, I'd prefer something like a Clifton 1.5, where it still had this really light, kind of stretchy upper, but they added just a strip of foam along the tongue and the thicker ortholite insole. That'd make me much happier. So the Clifton has come a long way since the original, so I thought it'd be fun to do an evolution from the 1 to the 5. So let's get into the Hoka Clifton family tree. The original Clifton 1 came out in a men's size 9 at 7.8 ounces. It was the lightweight, long distance trainer and marathon shoe that everybody fell in love with, and pretty much switched most people to Hoka's. The Clifton 2 got a little bit heavier at 8.3 ounces. It's a slight shift towards an everyday trainer with a padded tongue, more reinforced upper, the padded sock liner. But there are many complaints with it, one being it was heavier and the toe box was also way too constricting on this model for most people. The Clifton 3 gained some weight from the Clifton 2 at about 8.6 ounces for men's size 9. And this shoe shifts even more towards an everyday trainer with a more durable upper than previous models and slightly softer. Still not as soft as the original. There's a slightly different last on the Clifton 3 where they widen the toe box by a few millimeters. But after the Clifton 3 is when the Hoka line kind of branched off, in my opinion. This is because it went from focusing on being a nice, lightweight, cushioned shoe to being a more durable, everyday trainer. So, they branched from the Clifton 3 to release the Nepali, which was the same weight as the Clifton 3, and pretty much exactly identical, except it has a more seamless upper. It's definitely softer than the Clifton 4 that replaced the Clifton 3. It is a running warehouse exclusive though, so not many people have tried it out with the Clifton 4. It added quite a bit of weight to 9.8 ounces in a men's size 9, but this change made it a solid everyday trainer. It was way firmer and more responsive. It had a brand new last that was more foot shaped. And it was really just designed to have a firmer foam so that it wouldn't break down as quick, and a more durable upper to be your everyday trainer and focusing less on the lightweight like they had in the past. And that brings us to the current Clifton, the 5, which has some minor tweaks over the Clifton 4. It loses 0.3 ounces, which is probably due to the lack of overlays in the upper, but everything else is the same last, that same firmer, more responsive cushion. I think Hoka's definitely going to keep on that track of having the Clifton be their everyday trainer, kind of middle of the road cushion shoe that's more responsive, and then have that Arahi as the option for those people who want that kind of softer original Clifton feel. So that was a lot of talk about a lot of different Cliftons, but let me give you some advice. If you were obsessed with the Clifton 1 and you hated every other Clifton following it, go out, go buy as many pairs as you can, because this might be the last chance you can get the original Clifton. If you liked the Clifton 1, but also liked the Clifton 3, but hated the changes they made to the Clifton 4 and 5, I'd say save yourself 20 or 30 bucks and go buy the Nepali from Running Warehouse, where you're essentially going to get the Clifton 3 at a lower price. And if you're like me, I'd recommend buying either a cheap pair of Clifton 3s if you can find them in your size, or just go for the Nepali and then use that shoe as a softer kind of recovery, slower pace say shoe, and then buy a Clifton 4 or Clifton 5 as your more durable everyday trainer. That way you kind of get the best of both worlds. So thanks for sitting here and listening to me talk about the evolution of the Hoka Clifton. I hope you learned something. I hope I could provide some advice to you. And subscribe, because I have a ton more reviews and other running shoe related videos coming out. As always, keep on running.